Hello and greetings. My name is Shua, and I am the host and founder of a podcast called Light Up with Shua. It's a weekly podcast on conscious living and parenting. I hope you have already started watching, you are subscribed to the channel. I am available on iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Castbox, Spotify, and also on YouTube. And you can watch my shows on, they will be on Skype or in this Groton Channel studios or in person. So I hope you will send your feedback and comments, and I really enjoy your comments. So without further ado, I have a very special guest here today, and his name is Fahad, and he will introduce himself. Welcome to our studios, Fahad.
Thank you.
Tell your full name and what do you do?
So my name is Syed Fahad Mohsin. Right now I'm just a junior, incoming junior at St. John's High School.
Say your name again.
Syed.
Oh,
Fahad
Syed.
Mohsin.
Okay. Syed Fahad
Mohsin.
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 Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, I'm an incoming junior at
Okay.
St. John's High School in Shrewsbury.
Okay.
I guess I like traveling now.
All right.
As of this summer, and traveling to Japan.
Is this was your first trip?
It was my first time traveling by myself, and
Ah.
it was also for like almost 2 months. So it was like kind of scary, but I got to learn a lot. That's for sure. And I enjoy exploring and learning about new people and new cultures.
Nice.
So that's probably like one of my favorite new passions.
New passion, huh?
Oh.
So that means you want to do it more.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Is there itinerary already set in, like where you're planning to go next?
I first gotta get like the trip sorted out, but I'd like to see maybe Spain, like learning Spanish, maybe learn more.
I want to do
more
that
the
too.
culture as
Yeah,
well.
Morocco, Spain.
Morocco, Spain, that whole area sounds very
that
nice.
would be nice, but I will not go with you, so don't worry. I'll let you go by yourself. All right. So, as you are a junior in high school, so I know that you're not a parent, but I do want to talk about parenting a little from your perspective. Like, obviously, you have parents, and how do you define parenting from your angle, from who you are? What would you say if somebody asks you, like me, what is parenting, Fahad?
I guess it's like, for me at least as a son, right, and being the product of parenting, it's, I guess you can look at yourself and take a good long look at your personality and the things you do and the way you act, and I guess you can attribute these kinds of things to your parents, even in the way you might talk, right? Like you can see parenting as a way that you've been shaped, as in like you can look at your parents and think that's what they did for me, right? It's guiding and shaping another person's life, basically, their personality. And it's kind of hard to change, and a parent can do that really easily. So I think parenting is the way to help someone else, right? Who's your responsibility, your child, right? And sometimes even if they're not your child, you're helping them grow up and get better and mature, right? So it's like shaping someone, helping them out. And also like, again, like with the product of parenting, parenting for me would probably be the way I see my morals not being like taught to me, but essentially like shown to me, right? What my parents do, what my mom or dad might do. They're kind of telling me how I should behave. What's the expectation for me as an adult and as a child. So it's like shaping you as a person. That's like parenting for like me as a child, but for a parent it might be a little more.
That's nice. A nice perspective I got from you. Different. Okay. And so would you want to say that so far, what type of product are you?
I would say definitely I'm a product of like my mom's and dad's values, right? And what they hold dear to them, especially in like their day-to-day lives, how they might behave with other people around them. If some issue happens, if there's a problem, how they might behave with other people.
So do you see problem solving?
Problem solving for sure.
Oh,
I think that's
so
like
have you learned from them, or are you creating your own as well? Are you just copying them, or do you find yourself growing out of it and having your voice somewhere?
I guess it's more like they're like a guideline, right?
Okay.
They're showing some guidance on what the general path should be, and the rest is sort of up to you, because your parents won't always be with you when you need to do your own problem solving.
So
right?
they let you do that?
Yeah, they appreciate my independence, right?
Oh, nice.
Especially being older. So they say, you figure it out yourself, but I've taught you enough that you know how to act.
Excellent.
So when you're outside by yourself or in Japan, and like a problem happens, how would you treat it yourself, right? And then you can think about what you've learned and what they've taught you, and sort of mix it together. And like, this is what I'm going to do. This is my guided parenting, as well as my own beliefs and thoughts based on what they taught me, right? Because right now, all my experiences, most of them are just based off what my parents have told me or shown me, right?
Yeah, right.
So it's really heavily guided by that at this point in my life.
Right,
But maybe
right.
later I have more of experiences,
Yes.
that I can like.
But going to Japan might have really, it must be a good experiment for you,
yeah.
right?
'Cause without
So
my
what did you
parents-
find out when you were away?
A lot of things. Like I think especially like being independent for the first time. Like I'm only 16, so I'm not that old, right? And for many people, like college is when they're first independent from their parents,
Right.
truly, right? But like for me, not being around with my parents, having to figure everything out by myself, right, it was very different for me. But I got.
Did you
to learn a
feel
lot.
good about it, or was it like a little bit stressful? Like, oh, it would be nice that somebody tells me what to do.
I think in the beginning I was a little stressed. Like
Okay.
I was homesick because I'm like, what am I gonna do here, right?
Yeah.
I have a lot of time, a lot of new things to see. I don't know the language too well, so that might be a little issue. But I think like having the independence, right, eventually it got to grow on me. Like I like being able to travel anywhere. Like the public transportation was so good
Yeah.
that I could go anywhere, right? I had like
Right.
this so much freedom to go anywhere and explore, basically.
And it was safe.
It was very safe, very safe
Okay,
country, right? So
okay.
I had, so after like the first couple of days, I was like, this is great. This is an experience. I need to make the most of it, right? So I'm like, let me travel around, let me see the actual country and meet the people.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing it. But in
So
the
where were
beginning,
you
like,
in Japan?
I was in Tsuchiura, which is like,
Tsuchiura.
it's like a smaller city almost next to a bigger city called Tsukuba. And that's like right north of Tokyo in like the Ibaraki prefecture. So it's like Tokyo, Ibaraki. And they're like,
Nice.
they're close enough that you can go fairly easily between. So I'd go to Tokyo a lot and explore the other cities around me. So that was a big dose of experiences.
So who
you know,
decided
it's-
this trip? Like, did you want to go, or did your parents want you to send?
So it happened, I think, in summer of 7th grade. Or actually, I don't know if it was summer, but it was like a program at MIT where we had classes you could learn from other students, basically. Like the MIT grads and what they did. And they were basically teaching younger, like high schoolers and middle schoolers, just basic classes and stuff. I think it was like Spark or Splash, one of the two.
Nice.
And I went to one of them about traveling abroad, right? And this is like 3 years ago, but still, I remembered it because this student there was telling us all about how you can learn so much from traveling abroad. She's like, oh, I went to China for a whole year as a gap year, and I learned so much about the people and the language, and it's such a great experience. And she said the name of a few like organizations you could use that like make it a little more easier for you to travel abroad.
Right.
And one of them was Youth for Understanding. And I don't know why, but I remembered that name, YFU, for a very long time. So in March of this year, so it was a little late to fly, but I said, I want to go do something this summer, because usually my summers are like any other high school, you just hang out with your friends and do whatever, and I go to the park and stuff. Just not like very productive time for most people. So I was like, I'm gonna do something. I'm old enough now. I should probably travel, right? I need to learn something, and it'll help me.
So
out
it
in the
was your
future.
idea,
Yeah,
basically.
so
Okay. And they encouraged and supported.
Yeah.
That's
they were like,
wonderful.
Where'd
That's
you get that from? Well, that's really interesting. You should do it, right? it'll be good for you.
Oh,
So,
very nice. I guess I have to say that your parents seem to be falling into the conscious parenting realm that I have been talking about. So, well, you should feel good at home. Your son is doing well. All right, so let's talk about a little bit about your parents. So you have a good friendly relationship, that shows, right? You're able to talk to them.
Yeah.
What do you think, why is that? Do you think every child, every girl, boy can do that with their parents?
I guess it's very situational, right? Based on the child and the parent both, right? Some parents, I don't know, they might not be as active, right? They might be like, you're independent, figure this out, right? And some parents are very like helicopter parenting,
Yes.
right? Like,
Oh, you
I'll
know
do this
that.
for you. Talk to me, please talk
Yeah,
to me. And that can get kind of annoying, right? But for kids who like really like proactively want to talk to their parents, right, and want that guidance, I think the parents also have to take a little step in and not just be hovering over their child. Like, let them have some freedom of expression, right? Let them speak their minds out. 'Cause when you speak your own mind out, you actually kind of figure stuff out for yourself. When you're saying it aloud and thinking about it more and talking to your parent, it's not only them trying to guide you and console you, maybe if you're like troubled or something, that you'd have a problem, you need an answer or something. You'll start thinking about it yourself, like, oh, this is my issue, this is my problem, I need to figure this out myself. So when you're talking, they give their input and their guidance, and you can sort of, again, mix that in with what you're thinking. That's really good for like this like kind of lively parenting, right? And being conscious and figuring things out. So it's like sort of a mix of both. And I think like when I said situational, is like the kids also have to be a little proactive as well, right? If they don't want to talk about any of their issues, that can be a bad thing sometimes, But if the parents only want to talk about your issues all the time, right? And it gets kind of annoying. Maybe you don't want to talk about it anymore because you're like, I'm burned out about this.
Yeah.
This isn't really very proactive
So
for me.
it should be a good balance, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. Balance, a balance.
So what would you suggest parents to do as a teenager? Like, how can parents learn to be that way? What you just suggested.
I think like most teenagers kind of want to yearn for independence and kind of like break free. That's what a lot of teenagers might feel, right? Like, oh, I'm older now. I know stuff now, right? I can do things now. But at the same time, we don't know a lot. We're just starting.
So you admit that, right?
For sure. I might think I know everything, but really I don't think I do.
Yeah.
So it's like, how do I put this?
Like a supervision is a good idea rather than
knowing to give space, right?
Yeah,
let them explore, but also be there as a parent to guide them when things get out of hand, or maybe they're not doing too much, right? So it's like, you don't want to helicopter them, right? You know, like seeing what they're doing, but you want them to explore a little bit and respect their boundaries.
Let them go and do mistakes.
Yeah, learn their mistakes.
Yeah, let them do it. I mean, as long as it's a safe mistake, kind of like it doesn't injure you or like get you into serious trouble with the law or something like that. Other than that, they should take the risk of letting them be on their own. Thank you. That was really good.
Thanks.
I hope our young boys and girls can listen to this and suggest to their parents, but not everybody can do that, because parents would be like, it depends on authoritarian parents or parents who are easy. So I assume your parents are not authoritarian. Do you think they were always like this, or did they learn to be more easy going?
I think like at one point it might have been like more protective, because you're like obviously younger, right?
Yes.
Right? So they're like, okay, don't do this all the time, right? Come here, let's stay with me, let's do something together, right? That kind of thing. But as we grow older, they also learn that like we're getting older. I think they also took a step back to take a good long look at us and be like, I think you can be more independent now.
So
right?
I guess then you guys did a good job in carrying yourself that gave them the confidence and the trust. Because it's your responsibility too for the younger generation to give enough evidence or data for the parents to feel a little good also and not be worried about it all the time.
I feel you're comfortable with yourself, you can do things now,
Excellent.
right?
Let's move on.
Okay.
All right. So did you learn the language there, or what did you do?
So I learned some of the language.
So,
like it's a hard language to learn. So it took me a few years to learn it properly. But like being comfortable around diversity for sure.
Okay.
Like in itself, Japan might be a very diverse place. It's like very homogenous. Like people are very Japanese. But
so how did they receive you? Like did they like did you feel like a foreigner there?
You feel like a foreigner because like you notice yourself for once, right? You're like, okay, I am a little different, right? Like, oh, sometimes they give you a little look. They want to touch my hair, a little weird. But at the same time, you recognize like, I guess like you learn to accept the diversity of at home, especially like when I came back to Boston, I'm like, there are so many different people, different size, shapes, like cultures.
So you like that?
Yeah, it's great, right? Because more to learn from like a lot of different cultures and different perspectives, right? If someone's coming from like an Asian Africa versus America and Japan, they all have different experiences, different outlooks on life, right? But I think still Japan was a great place. Like people are very friendly and welcoming, and they're more interesting. Right, they're more interested. In like a foreigner than they were like, oh, why is a foreigner here? They're very accepting. They're like they want to learn more about you rather than like shy away from that. So it was a good experience, and while there may not be much diversity, they're very interested in it for sure.
All right. So are you connected to your faith?
Oh yeah, I'd say so. It could be connected more, obviously. Everyone can, but like at the same time, it's always in the back of my head whenever I'm doing anything. I have my faith attached to me for sure.
Like, give me an example.
Let's see, like when you're being, I would say like tested, or you could say that, right? Like in Japan, when people are doing things, they're like, okay, that's the big no-no for me, right? But it's all your friends doing it, right? Would you conform and go out there and do it, or would you, stay back and be like, I have my religion in my head, right? This is morally wrong for me. I'm not gonna partake in it.
So when it comes to morals.
Yeah, morals, right? Like it's always in the back of my head. Like physically, like actually praying and stuff, of course, but like. I think like a huge aspect of religion is thinking religiously as well, right? You've got to keep the aspects of your religion in your head when you're doing things, or what's the point, right? You're just praying without any thought and conscious of it, right? And we're trying to be conscious about it. So morals should be in your head when you're doing things, right? So I think, for sure, it's like active religion in that sense.
Very nice. Very nice. Wow. Did you prepare for this?
No, but
you are so good. Like, did you read all this whole night? Like, how will I talk about religion? Oh, wonderful. Really nice to know.
More than 4 hours of sleep helps. So like.
Okay. So, what is the best thing about the faith you follow that you like?
That I like the most.
Yeah.
I don't know how to put my finger on it, but I would say like within our morals, right? Specifically, I
Or
think.
maybe you should also say who you like,
Oh, yes.
what faith you follow.
I'm a Muslim, right? I follow the religion of Islam,
Okay.
and of course.
And are you proud of it, or
For
are you
sure,
happy to be
100%.
in that
Very
position?
proud.
Uh-huh.
Always tell everyone I'm a Muslim, right?
Okay.
Right? I want people to know that. So,
Okay.
especially like if it's the first time meeting a Muslim, I think it's very important
Okay.
that they can take from my example that Muslims are not what they might see in the media, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
very diverse people,
Mhm.
a lot of different type of people there.
Yeah.
So first of all, yeah, very proud to be a Muslim. Always thinking about it. A huge part of my life. I think like within the morals, especially of Islam, I think one of my more favorite things is like our look on like human behavior for sure, right? It's a religion, so we're talking about things you should do and shouldn't do.
Yeah.
But especially like things about like modesty, the way to act, the way to behave, people who are like lesser off than you, right? And you might have a better life, how to give back, right? How to help those around you. I think that's a huge aspect of life and we should all keep that in mind, right? Because we're better off doesn't mean to ignore those who aren't, right? It's our duty as those who are better off to help those below us, right?
Right,
Help those with less fortunate lives. So I think that that's huge, especially like when you're like giving charity and zakats and stuff. It's important. You should keep that in mind. And like one value I think like maybe sometimes some of us might forget, it's like modesty, right? Right? Not like in a sense like not only like dressing modestly, but also thinking that way, right? I'm not going to buy very expensive things and show it off and be very like exuberant and I have all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
That's like that's not a good outlook on life. And not doing that I think is like it's like a good part of our religion, right?
Yeah.
Being humble and staying down to earth.
Do you think other
Good moral.
faiths do have what you just mentioned?
Oh, for sure. I said like most faiths aren't trying to make you a bad person.
Yes.
We're all trying to be better people,
Better
right?
people.
So all faiths like you should do
Yeah.
this. Be a good person,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Be the person like you want to be. Help those around you. Help those who are less fortunate.
Right.
So for sure, it's a thing many faiths will share, obviously. But I think like in Islam, especially like the way we emphasize that, I think that's very good, right? And one of our pillars is literally just giving back.
Yes.
So it's always good to stay humble and think of God and give back. So
It means, can I ask you that so it seems like you're very secure in your own position in faith-wise and in your skin. And does that mean if you mingle with other faiths, you don't get insecure or threatened by it? Rather, you would go and learn.
So
right?
I go to a Catholic school, right? And I have religion class every day.
Okay.
So for sure I can say
good to know.
this is a conversation I had with myself, right? When I
Okay.
first started Catholic school, I'm like, oh, like now I'm gonna spend every single day for like the next 3 years just learning about like the Christian religion, right?
Okay.
How would I feel about that, right? How would I act? But I think after the first couple classes, especially the way the teachers are, they acknowledge that there are people of different faiths, but they ask you to learn from it, right? Maybe take the values of it and just think about it. It like, especially when we talk about things with faith involved, but it was more about the morals, they'd ask us to think about the morals instead of the actual faith behind, right? And I think it's very good to learn about other religions, right?
That's good.
If you learn about someone else's religion, you understand them a lot more, you understand where they're coming from. And I think you can make much better friends, right? You can learn a lot more about them. You're much closer. Even though you might be for different religions, you know each other, right? Now you know a huge part of their lives as much as they know a huge part of yours. And especially, I think, it wipes a lot of ignorance, right? Like, you might not know something about someone and you assume too much, right? So people, like, if you learn from, like, the news or, like, posts online, you're getting a huge bias. We all have biases, right? But if you learn from them about their own religion, you're learning how they feel about it. And especially if you take a good time to understand it, you're wiping away that ignorance and you're truly understanding someone else for their religion, right? And that's very good, important for me, at least now. After coming to the school, I'm like, this is good. Now I understand people. Because there's not many Muslims around, but there's a lot of Christians around where we are, right? In Massachusetts. And that's a good thing, because now I know the people here and I feel like I can talk to them more, right? I understand their religion.
So that's how you
coming
approach,
from.
like you're easy and you're,
Yeah.
so I think it begins, I would say you respect others
Yes,
first.
for sure.
And then you are like, whoever you are, I'm just learning and I like you. That's very good. Good approach. Thank you. All right, so let's see, in the interest of time, we need to get to some thought-provoking questions. Are you into sports? And
I would say I like sports, for sure.
any favorite sport?
I think, like, favorite to play would probably be soccer. I love playing soccer.
Okay.
I think the one that I do right now would be rowing crew. So that's like, there's not much like, I would say like skill as in like soccer, you like get to move the ball around and stuff, you can be more creative.
Right.
But it's fun as in it's like, it helps you building a routine, right? You're very organized at that point. It's the
That's
same
nice.
few movements, but you do it for a couple hours, right?
Okay.
You really build into the
So
rhythm.
you're doing nowadays?
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful.
I wouldn't say I'm the best at it, but it's fun, right?
Okay.
It's a good activity, so I like it for sure.
So what does it teach you?
I think sports, or even like if you're serious about a club as well, I think it's important for a person to build a routine, a sense of morals, right? I have an obligation here. Especially for teenagers when we might not care about much stuff, right? Having a sense of obligation, having like a lot of responsibility, that's good for us. It builds your character.
Okay.
So if you were to, let's say, practice every single day for some sport, you'd build not only a routine, but you build a habit, obligation, responsibilities. I need to be there, and I need to improve, right? You're always thinking about self-improvement. I want to get better. I want to be that star player, right? It's always in the back of your head, oh yeah, it's my teen movie, right? I'm going to be the star player. So it's good for that obligation. It's good for building responsibility, and I think it's like a great thing to have as a kid because it'll help you when you're an adult, and especially in college when you've got so much work to do and so many things around you. I bet building that obligation, routine, and responsibility super useful to keep your grades up, right?
Wonderful.
So I think it's a great way to start, especially in high school.
Do your parents trust you with the money?
I would assume so. I mean, I can't go into their mind, but
what's your relation with the money as a teenager?
As a teenager, of course. People don't trust teenagers with a lot of things, right? Money, including that, especially money, or cards or something like that. But I think usually I don't make stupid purchases, right? I'm not buying weird things all the time. I'm not spending lots of money doing things. I would say the most would probably be like snacks or something, maybe a small thing I want to buy.
So do you want to make money?
Of course you want to make money. Money is like, it keeps you going, right? It's the drive, right? It's the drive.
It's a drive.
So of course money is always like, for teenagers, you want more of it. You want to buy stuff, right? All your friends are getting cool things. You want to get cool things too.
Right.
So I guess like responsibility with money for sure. I think because I think my parents trust me enough that I'm not going to spend a lot of money or buy random things or waste my money here and there. I think they trust me that much.
So is it essential for life?
I think knowing how to use your money, right, and being responsible is very big. Especially like
just having money doesn't do anything.
What are you gonna if you have money and you're wasting it? What's the point? Yeah, you're wasting it at some point. I think like especially when you don't have a lot of it, you learn to spend it wisely. What do you need? What do you not need? This is good use of money. This is bad use of money. I think in Japan I was like spending most of my money just on train tickets, right? Like I was running low on actual spending money, of course.
So were you like, Mom, Dad, I'm out of it. Can you send me?
Or I had to once.
Okay, you had to once.
Once I was like, I can't get home. I spent too much on train tickets. But I think like after that, I learned to be a lot more wise with money, right? Like when I'm planning a trip, don't just go to the other side of the city. Then I have to spend even more to get to the other place you want to go to, right? Plan things out. Learn to be more strategic with your use, right? And especially like bringing stuff from home, stuff you already have, don't have to spend money or waste it. And that was like a huge thing I learned, especially in Japan.
Very nice.
More self-reliant, basically. Yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you so much. Tell me about yourself now a little bit more. Then, like, one thing that you like about yourself, and one thing that you would like to change about yourself.
I could say I could be a little more proactive, right?
Now, this is what you would like to change.
Change.
Okay.
I'm gonna start with that. Right?
Yeah.
So I think like. Being like a little more consistent sometimes, right? Like if I do something, I gotta keep with it and do it all the time, right? You can't just like do it every now and then, right?
For example,
going for a run every day.
Oh, okay.
Right, trying to get like in better shape for like the season, right? So in the spring, obviously, so I got time left, but like going every day, not just going every other like week or something. So being a little more consistent, right? A little more hardworking, right? Like always pushing yourself, right? You don't want to give half effort and see half the results you could have, right? Going all the way, I think.
So what do you do when you see yourself doing that? How do you bring yourself to be consistent? I'm sure you are at times.
So,
are you not? Or I don't know.
So I think more like I've got to like now what's helped me is like just imaging what would I be had I been consistent or if I'm going to be consistent, right? Kind of imaging your future self and the benefits.
Where did you
have.
learn this from?
I don't know. Spiritualism? I don't know. But
that's very good, very responsible. This is like a whole coaching book you're talking about.
I'm practicing for the college interviews, okay?
Oh, that's good. That's
good. I think just like imaging my future self, right? And it kind of helps me because from my own personal experience, I think when I actually do this, right, just spend the 2 minutes that it takes to think, well, what if I do this, right, every single day, what's going to happen, right? And that self-image that you portray yourself, well, like maybe sometimes unrealistic, it's a good goal to set in mind because having those goals, it's something to drive towards, right? And if you have that goal in mind, you really want to achieve it, you're going to achieve it, right? You're going to go at it as hard as you can. And that's something I think I should do more often, right? And keep up with that. That being said, though, the trait that I like about myself would be like I don't think I give up very easily, right? I think like if I start something, I want to keep going through with it, whether that be building a computer or like keeping up with like school or something like that, I think I'm not going to give up easily. Right? I'll keep going. Right.
Okay. And that's a good thing.
It's a good thing, I think, for sure.
You don't give up easily.
Okay. Like having that that heart to keep going is pretty important, I think. Well, I mean, it might sound like how can he be like not consistent but not give up? I tell you, it exists, right? So never giving up, as in like when you actually go for something, you have a goal in mind, right? I think I actually go and try to achieve that as best I can. When I'm trying to be consistent, I've got that image in my head. I think that's like when I was going to Japan. I was like, one day this summer, I've got to go somewhere. Right? I've got to learn something. I've got to teach myself. I can't wait the summer again.
Very nice.
And then I was like, I'm going to apply to like 100 different things and see where I get in, right? I can't go by this. I need a scholarship as well, right? So that was like that never
so you
get
were after thing.
Yeah.
And
I had that image of what do I want to learn this summer?
That's good. That's good.
And the culture.
Do you have a purpose in your life? Would you say that?
Yeah, I'd say I have a few. Like in a sense, like I have my moral one, obviously being religious, right? Trying to be a good person and eventually go to heaven. But then I have one like just as like a social one, right? Like I want to like have family, and have kids, and so many friends around me, right? I want to do that when I'm older and I'm an adult, a goal to reach towards. I think also one for like what do I want to do as a job and stuff, right? I really want to become a surgeon. I'm like, I've got to do that, right?
Wow. So you have lots of
goals, right? Goals set in mind, and I'm like,
yeah.
I've got to achieve it, right? Like you only live your life once. You have to have goals in mind, right? And you have to work towards those. Well, what else is there to do, right? You're bored. And I think that like some people get depressed sometimes because they don't know what they're doing and they don't know what to do, right? But having goals in mind, you have something set in mind and you have something set to do. So it might keep you from like getting sad or not knowing what to do. So for me at least, that helps a lot. So I think like just having the goal of I want to go to some college and go to medical school and like learn all this kind of stuff. It looks really interesting. And I think that's like a good goal to have in mind. Like, I broke a lot of bones and I'm like, that looks like a great job to have, fixing those up, huh? So
Good. Any message of hope before I ask you my last question?
I have no idea.
How do you stay hopeful?
Having a goal to work towards, right? Always have one of those and stay consistent, right? And
actually, that's
never
true.
give up. Yeah.
That's wonderful. That's hope. So my last question is, what lights you up?
What makes me happy?
Yeah. What lights you up? When you see something, it lights you up.
I guess I've seen results, right? When in a sense, like let's say I do not good on one test. And then I'm like, you know what, next test, I'm going to study really hard. I'm going to go into the book and read everything. And then I go to the next test, I'm like, wow, that's a good score. I didn't see that coming.
And then
you're just happy? So happy, right? Like when you first start going to the gym and you're like, oh yeah, now I look a lot better than I did like the week before. Right? Newbie gains or whatever. I'm like, yeah, that's like, it feels really good. You're like, I'm doing something and I can see the results and stuff's happening. And you always feel so good about yourself, right? You're like, I'm doing something finally. And I think like, especially in school, when you always have multiple small tests and goals and projects, and you're always saying preparing, when you prepare more that one time and you see the result come, you're really happy. You're like, I should do this more often, right? So it's that kind of thing that makes me the most happiest, right? Like when I went to Japan and when I left and coming back home, I was reflecting on the plane, because it's like a very long plane ride. And I was thinking to myself, did I learn something? And I'm like, wait, no, I really did. I learned a lot. And that made me really happy. I'm like, this was a good summer spent. I got to learn a lot about other culture, meeting a lot of new people, right? And experience something I might not have been able to experience otherwise. So that made me really feel good about myself, right? And I lit up.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was wonderful. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.